this is how this looks in practice. So this is me with a guy named Mikey. He's on the national snowboard team, and this is me over here with the hat on, the same hat I'm wearing right now, actually. And what we do here, in my hand, there's a drone. So I'm holding this drone, which is a flying helicopter, right? And you can see that Mikey here has an electrode on his head. He's wearing a headset. And this headset is picking up the output, the electrical output of his brain. And what we talk about is, think about a time when you're snowboarding that everything just went perfectly. Like you had the best run at the X Games or the Olympics, or just today when you were goofing around with your friends, and really try to go internal on that feeling and try to really embrace it and embody the entire experience. Think of how it looked. Think of how it felt. Think of the song maybe that you were listening to on your iPhone while you were doing this. And after a few minutes, what starts to happen is he can get into that place and his brain starts to drop into this 10 hertz rhythm. And then that sends forward the signal, the electrical signal to the drone. And voila, he starts to fly this helicopter around using nothing more than his brain. And what that does for him is demonstrate that he has some ability to control the output of his brain. And in about 5 minutes, just about everybody that I've tried this on gets it. They can shift from whatever output their brain is in, which is usually a state of nervousness and anxiety when you put a headset on and everybody's sitting around watching and I've got somebody filming. But it's amazing to me how quickly they can learn to drop into that 10 hertz rhythm. And then we start doing things like saying, okay, Mikey, now tell me about a day that went really badly recently. And I start talking to them about the details of that. I try to get them a little bit worked up and then say, okay, stop now, go back to 10 hertz, switch back into flow. And in about, anywhere between 2 seconds and 10 seconds, these people can do this, and just about anybody can. And now they've learned, not only do they have the power to find the flow rhythm, but they can switch from an anxious state or a stressed out state back into it. They start to be aware of it. Again, this gets back to the mindfulness thing. They start to be aware of what their state of mind is, and knowing that they're not in a flow state, but that they know where that is and they know what that feeling is and they can go back to it. So that's one of the things we do with snowboarders. I can show you how we use this with golfers too. Golfers are notorious overthinkers. So we do some exercises where we make the golfer make all the decisions in advance about, what's your target going to be here? What's the wind doing? What club do you want to choose to hit this shot? How do you want to see this ball flying through the air? And we make all of those decisions in advance as we're standing behind the ball. And then this gentleman here who's about to hit this shot, his name is Ben. He's done all of that work standing behind the ball in his pre-shot routine. But now he gets to go and address the ball, but he doesn't get to pull the trigger until he drops into flow state. And so this is what that looks like. He's sitting there waiting. It starts to fly, and now he's free to hit the shot. And I go out of the frame here, but that thing was still flying as he was thinking about hitting the shot. So what we're doing essentially here is, in golf, you have to think. You have to make decisions. And those kinds of things usually are flow killers. You don't want to be thinking and analyzing when you're in flow. In fact, flow in many ways is the opposite of that. So he does all of that decision work ahead of time, but then he gets over the ball and he has to clear his mind, drop into flow, and then let his body do what it knows what to do. He knows how to hit a golf shot. And those expressions like overthinking, like getting in your own way, all of those things are basically synonyms for I've got the wrong parts of my brain working right now. The front of my brain, my prefrontal cortex is being too active. My inner critic is in there. My sense of time and self are in there. My remembering of past failures is in there. We need to get rid of that. And we need to do something called hypofrontality, which is what you see on this particular slide, which is where we basically shut off the front part of our brain, where that critic is, and where that sense of time, whether that be worrying about the future or worrying about the past, those things need to shut down so that the rest of our brain, which has those hardwired skills now, that automaticity is free to flow out without the interruption of our frontal lobes.